I am willing to pay money, but nobody is there to take my money and do a good job. So iska kuch karo. And when enough people said the same thing with different examples, we took a step back and said this is by far the biggest problem that urban India is facing.
Varun's favorite quote is, "We are in an unsexy business. Our job is to make the unsexy sexy."
70-80% of our spa users are people who never went to a spa before.
It is
They're
such
just
a
experiencing
sticky
it for the
product,
first time.
Varun. It is such a sticky. You do it once, you'll do it every month.
Partners are now getting recognized in their homes as the leader of the family because they are making more than their husbands. Ample cases where husbands actually drive our beauticians and our spa service professionals to the job, wait there for the hour to 2 hours and then drive them back.
You can hear consumers, but consumers won't give you the answer. You need to selfishly come up with what you want to build, have that clarity. It could be right, wrong, time will tell.
Hi, welcome to the Barber Shop. This is an episode I'm extremely excited about because I'm personally a huge fan of the company these gentlemen have founded. They go back a long way. Not only do I use the services offered by them at least 3 to 5 times a month, but people in my family, in our company, and in general, the ecosystem absolutely loves what they do when it comes to service orientation. Varun, Raghav, founders of Urban Company, welcome to the Barber Shop.
Thank you, Shantanu.
Thank you for having us.
We've watched the show sitting on our couches at home a bunch of times. It's a pleasure to be here on actually live.
Now, I wanted to actually start with two personal things about Urban Company that affected my life and kind of created an affinity for me with the organization that you have built. And then we would love to go into much deeper elements about the organization and what you guys do. One was at a very difficult time. I was in the US and India setting up a house. Cold winter of Delhi. I had bought a bunch of furniture in IKEA, Mumbai.
Yeah.
And I was setting it up in Gurgaon on Golf Course Road, opposite the One Horizon Center. And I moved back from the US and I had like a 1 week period where I had to travel again. And there was nobody else. And I called Abhiraj. And I told Abhiraj ki dost, ये IKEA का फर्नीचर मैंने बड़े enthusiasm में ले लिया कि मैं करूँगा खुद, लेकिन I don't have the bandwidth and even the competence or skill or any of these things to do it. Now, I had called him from the US. This is around 16th, 17th of January. And he said, no problem. I was like, do you have a team of people who can do this? He's like, yeah, we have great carpenters. They do IKEA stuff. Don't worry. I said, okay. So then I came. 28th of Jan was my birthday, I remember. And 4th Feb I had to get out again. So I had like a week-long period. And I told him, I'm coming on 28th, warehouse se saman aa jayega. So I went, I opened the house, I got the key from the landlord, I opened the house. And the e-com express was our delivery guys. They put 75 boxes all over the house. I was like, I don't know what I have gotten myself into. And when Abhiraj ko call kiya, I said, boss, I swear to God, if I ever need it, because my parents were going to use the house after I was gone. Something of that nature. They had to get set up. So मैंने जाके बाकी चीजें कर दी, curtains, पानी, ये वो सब कुछ. And Abhiraj, don't worry. Then a doorbell rang next morning at 10 o'clock. And I was like, cool, the Urban Company carpenters are here. The team is here. Open the door. And there was like this 5'3", scrawny gentleman, must not be more than 25 years old. Called Fahim. I said, हाँ जी हाँ, मैं Fahim बोल रहा हूँ. अरे आ जाओ अंदर आ जाओ. I thought the team was following him.
बाकी लोग का है.
हाले बाकी लोग का है. नहीं मैं अकेला हूँ. हाले आप अकेले हो. हाले 75 डब्बे इस घर में. And like the bed was in 6 boxes which were distributed all over. Some of it was like written in Swedish and stuff also, right? Because IKEA is not easy. This guy said, sir, आप टेंशन मत लो बिल्कुल भी. मेरी टीम नहीं है क्योंकि IKEA के फर्नीचर में अगर एक भी पार्ट इधर उधर हो जाता है तो फिर उसको ढूंढने में प्रॉब्लम हो जाती है. तो मैं आई प्रेफर टू डू इट एवरीथिंग ऑन माय ओन. आई सेड मेरे पास टाइम नहीं है. दिस इज नॉट अ 15-day थिंग. दिस इज 3-4 day थिंग. बोलते आप क्या करते हो, काम क्या करते हो? मैंने बोला मैं शेविंग के सामान बेचता हूँ, ये वो. बोला आप ऑफिस जाओ और वो करो. मैं आपको यहाँ से जैसे जैसे फर्नीचर असेंबल होता जाएगा आपको व्हाट्सएप पे फोटो भेजता रहूँगा. I was like, cool. I had zero belief that this will happen. Zero. All my love in urban company at that time was going to get tested. I swear to God, I came to office. In 2 hours, I saw a red chair. Oh, that chair is, by the way, here. It's not in my house anymore, it's in the office. I saw a red chair and ottoman on photograph. Then I saw a dining table after an hour. Then after a couple of hours, I was like, okay, this guy is not belting out furniture. What's the best thing I can do for him remotely? So I was like, what kind of food do you like? Fine, मेरे को McDonald's पसंद है. I was like, cool. You give me furniture, I'll give you burgers. And I kept sending burgers to him. And he would work from 8 in the morning till 11 in the night. And till date, on Eid, etc., he calls me up. He's built mandirs. He's built 2 temples for my mom in Pune and got them sent from Faridabad to. He's now like part of family. And I till date, like I get goosebumps talking about him because he would help me out at a time which was very difficult. And I thank you guys because I think he represented everything about urban company. So congratulations for building out something which created an opportunity for me to meet someone like Fahim. But tell me about what you guys feel so many years. I know people like read about billions of dollars of valuation and all the financials, and you guys are Forbes 30 under 30 and ET and all the awards come. But whenever I meet you and whenever I meet Abhiraj, stories like this is what you guys, we also met very recently, is what actually drives you. So talk about the genesis of the business and how you guys feel doing it today.
So I think before I talk about our journeys, I think your story captures the emotion with which we started, the goals with which we started very well. Because every service experience is a story in the life of the user. Fairly emotional story. Like you talked about furniture assembly. It can be looked at as a very banal experience, but it's a very emotional experience. And through the experience or journey of getting things right, there is a great amount of delight that consumers experience, and it creates this bond between the customer or the consumer and someone who's just really good at their craft. You finally start to appreciate that professional, respect that professional, form a bond. And eventually, the side that you may have seen over time is that the professional also is doing really well in his or her whole life. So these two stories, like giving really delightful experiences to customers and really respectful, high quality livelihoods to service professionals, that's our life. And yes, there might be 25 million transactions happening in the year, but we'd like every transaction to be like this.
It's amazing. Did you guys start off thinking like this is what you guys will build out? Like, because at that time, I'll tell you what, I actually went back when I knew that we were going to do this conversation. I went back and thought about the genesis period of 2014, 2015, when there were lots of companies who had figured out that aggregating this experience and connecting service providers of different kinds to homes would be a valuable thing to do, which it was. But a lot of them fell by the side. Experience consistency was not there. Service professionals, attrition was a lot higher. And I remember I talked to someone at Uber at that time, and he told me, like, with respect for you guys, he said, यार हमको ना point A से point B को एक Swift Desire को भेजना होता है, उसमें कितनी ही variability होती है. We have an app, we have Google Maps integrated, we just have to make sure payment is done right, the car is clean, and the driver takes the rider to wherever they have to go. उसमें भी हमारी लग जाती है customer experience में. So can you imagine how complicated the urban company business is? At that time you guys were called Urban Clap. कि इतने सारे use cases हैं, उन use cases का experience इतना complicated है. ऊपर से वो घर के अंदर है किसी के, sometimes it's on someone's terrace, sometimes it's in someone's bathroom. So private areas हैं, safety है, अलग अलग तरीके के experiences है. So the variability, and I remember now I appreciate it. People tell me that adding one SKU more to your business is not just increasing your complexity by 10%. It's increasing it by 2x every time. So in your case, from a carpenter to a plumber to a salon specialist to a pedicure to manicure. You guys have productized it more recently over a period of time, but at that time, it must have been really hard to think about this the right way initially.
Yeah, so I can share
Yeah,
the
please
nuggets of how things started and a little bit of the journey, and then Raghav, you should add as well. So 2013 is when all of us came back to Delhi, leaving our really good corporate jobs because entrepreneurship was the calling. And me and Abhiraj separately worked on an idea that we wrapped up in about 3-4 months.
Is that, that entertainment in buses thing? No?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, yes. So this was from basically the end of Feb 2024 to maybe March, April, 2-3 months. Around the same time,
2014, sorry.
2014. Around the same time, Raghav also ran his separate first business that was like a ride sharing on the auto rickshaws.
Okay.
And first businesses didn't work out. We got back together, kind of brooding over that experience, but also saying, okay, let's combine forces because we really see eye to eye on what our values as people are and what our ambitions of the company that we want to build is. We really wanted to build a legendary company over the next 20-30 years of our life, something that will drive India forward, because we'd all seen international work experience through like a developed world, and we're very clear India has the potential to get there in the next 20 years. So not only do we want to be present, but we want to be part of shaping how that happens.
Yeah.
Play a very active role. So that was the ambition. First idea failed. वो खुद का idea था. Then we said, हमारा idea तो बेकार है. We've only lived in India in our homes as kids or gone to college, not really experienced living in India and what problems people face. So let's go to the people and understand actually life कैसी है, problem क्या है. So you wouldn't believe, for a few months, that's all we did. Every morning we would get together and we would go to some other public place, from Khan Market to Galleria to these malls in Noida, West Delhi, and just talk to people. What was
Agenda free.
Agenda free. What was your last day, week, month like? What were big challenges in life that a new company that we will build can solve?
That was really bottom up stuff, huh?
Yeah. And I don't think this was a playbook we read anywhere, but just came as a thought to us that let's just go and ask, let's see what happens. People were very kind. People used to give us 15, 20 minutes, 30 minutes shopping. एक दुकान से दूसरी दुकान जा रहे हैं, fine, like bunch of young folks, let's talk to them. And in these conversations, we started picking up the threads that life is busy, getting busier. People in India now, with increasing disposable income, want to lead a certain aspirational lifestyle. Want to have a great home, want to take care of themselves, take care of their family. And to achieve this, a lot of service help is needed. But every time they have to go through a service experience, they are really pained. From something as simple as fixing a tap to getting their home clean to like a good haircut, everything is really hard. And people were at the same time starting to notice that ordering products is getting easy. I can just go on an app and cut,
Yeah.
product आ जाता है. cut, cab आ जाती है. खाना आ जाता है. So they started to notice this dissonance. They were like, parts of my life are getting sorted, but service is a really big part of my life, and it's always painful. ये ऐसा क्यों है कि I am willing to pay money, but nobody is there to take my money and do a good job. तो इसका कुछ करो.
Correct.
And when enough people said the same thing with different examples, we took a step back and said, this is by far the biggest problem that urban India is facing. Now, we have no experience in this, we have no idea how to solve it. But if our quest was, what is the biggest problem that urban India is facing, and let's go build a company to solve that, this is it, boss, this is the answer.
Wow. And were there other people who were doing it at the same time?
We did not know of anybody at the time. We did not know of a really successful peer example outside India as well.
Correct.
So it was truly following both first principles, where we said, let's solve the biggest problem, and truly following what we heard. So the conviction on this was so strong because we had met at least 200-300 people. We had surveyed a few thousands. And this as a problem was miles ahead of anything else. So yes, there were other ideas we could have pursued. But
What was
it
idea number 2?
Blindingly clear.
Was there a distant idea number 2 that made sense to the three of you?
I don't think we ever talked about like a second
This was a clear winner, is it?
idea. I don't remember. But yes, people were saying groceries could also come online. It could become easier. Finding a good hotel when you're traveling could also become easier. But it paled in comparison to
The size of this.
services. And some time we spent with service professionals as well. Maybe Raghav can talk more about that. But we saw the pain there. So what started out as customers saying, "Achhe log nahi milte," got married with "Achhe log," saying "Kaam nahi milta."
Correct.
And we're like, what is this? This is the opportunity.
Yeah. How did you figure out that supply side maybe there is an opportunity? Because clearly you're right. It's 2014 actually seems very recent, but it's actually really long back. Like it's very long back. So you have to, it's only the mental effort to take yourself back 10 years. But how did you think about the supply side of talking to, and what were the first 3-4 kind of service professionals you said, "Ki, theek hai, we can solve, this is a large enough problem, we can solve for this use case or these 3-4 services"?
Actually, I'll expand on the initial days and then come to this. In hindsight, I think puts a lot more perspective.
Yeah, you were smiling.
We would have probably, we met as friends. Abhi Raj and I had a mutual friend. So India, हम लोग सब आए हैं, पहले दोस्त बनाते हैं. So we met.
आप इंडिया क्यों आए? अभिराज तो इंडिया में था. आप क्यों आए? आप BCG के थ्रू आ गए?
No. So I went to the US right after
हाँ.
IIT. For me, even I grew up in a business family. For me, even coming to IIT was let's just go get exposure in life. I've only seen one part of the world. Let's go where everybody who's smart seems to be going. I would have probably been okay going to law school also if I didn't get into IIT. So went to IIT, khatam ho gaya. Then I said, okay, still don't understand the world. Let's go see a different country. But few years in the US, while work was good, it was clear I didn't want to be a small part of a picture that somebody else had painted.
Correct.
I want to be a big part of a picture that I had painted. And what I said earlier about being an active part of the India story. Both of those were
That's how you came back.
reasons to come back.
Sorry, I interrupted you. Go ahead.
No, I pursued engineering, went to Berkeley. I was in the US for about 5.5-6 years. Berkeley ke baad, I was in Twitter. This was the pre-IPO days. So in that very initial journey, I was like, I've seen the highest level of what as an engineer you could see.
Yeah.
And under you, I was always passionate that I can't keep doing just an engineering job. In fact, I think parents are in education, entrepreneurs. So I had that itch of, you could probably do more. And the core DNA, I think, came from need to go back to India. Opportunity, just cultural roots. I was like, okay, like, end of the day, in the long haul, you want to be in a little more familiar environment. The problems you associate with, you want to solve that. I feel for the problems here in India. Outside country, that's just intellectual maths then. Surprisingly, I precipitated that decision very fast. I would have been 23. No one in the family was aligned. I was like, ruk jao, MBA kar lo. I remember writing down a 2-pager email to parents saying, chill, this is my reason, it's okay. Next 5 years also, if nothing comes of life, it's okay. Like, job dhoond lenge fir. That's what made me come back. I was just fueled with doing something basic, being a part of the country development journey.
But at 23, you had that maturity. Like, you must have been living a great Bay Area life. Straight out of Berkeley.
I think when I look back, it seems like a pretty wild call. It just seemed the right call then. I think I was just done with being in a niche, superficial, enjoying life, but not actually solving meaningful problems. I think I'd rather be average in lifestyle, but emotionally feel more about the work I'm doing.
And that's
So we come back. I think we were all in our different journeys in the initial days. They had their project. I was always a big fan of marketplaces connecting two sides. I had interned at Yelp, so I think wo keeda thoda.
Acha. हाँ.
I think 2008 was also the time where marketplace was becoming a thing.
The thing, right?
It was the era of marketplaces. So as a young engineer, for me, I was like, marketplace ही बनाना है, कुछ भी करना है तो. So we meet, we go our different paths. I think around May, June of 2014 is when we ping each other again कि क्या चल रहा है. So like, बंद कर दिया. हम लोग ने भी बंद कर दिया. And that's where we
When
started.
we heard Raghav ने बंद कर दिया.
So we pull in together, start brainstorming. I think services was one component because you realize there's this like era of Uber. So people to people trade is just a new hot happening thing which is not being solved. Ideas range from education में कुछ कर सकते हैं, groceries में कुछ कर सकते हैं. In fact, even I remember some ideas on like shoes या products बनाएंगे. But the allure of services and employment that it would create just felt more to the early 20s heart. And that's when we just put all eggs in one basket and started to explore. कि services में market क्या है. So we had massive consulting DNA, the three of us. So we sized the market, did all the right things, but more importantly, we just went, visited, talked to consumers, Khan market, parents. I remember we like 200 लोगों को हम लोग ने ping किया अपने through WhatsApp, through Facebook. Surveys, the initial surveys we would have floated. Do you have a problem? And everyone unanimously said yes. Like dealing with people is a huge problem. In fact, expectation ही नहीं था that घर में if something has to happen, it will be done well. It was just not the expected. Pain hai, we have to live with it. So that was the pre-launch days. In fact, when we launched, I don't think we would have valued the dimensions of the business.
Very complicated. Like even hearing you talk, like I feel it's such a complicated thing.
Like we considered ourselves the David to the Goliath. Goliath being the typical age-old lead gen.
Yeah.
And we said lead gen mein there is no value. It's cumbersome for the consumer. So
Tell our viewers what lead gen means in like simple terms.
So lead gen would be like a very simple model where I search for something, that search gets pinged to 5, 6, 10, 20, 30 vendors and then they start calling.
Just dial types.
Just dial types. Even Google would be like a rudimentary
Correct.
lead gen. We said this discovery process is very long. Consumer is wasting a lot of time going back and forth with just so many vendors. There's no price discovery and that just adds to the problem. She said, you know what? Let's flip that. What if we took all information from the consumer in terms of what they wanted? Then we floated this to a very select set of partners and we restricted it to max 5. We can have 5 partners give back a quote. So this is a reverse auction. Customers placing a requirement and the partner is auctioning on this is what I can do for you and this is our quote. And we said, okay, this is the master child. This is going to just sweep the world of services. And this was actually a first product.
Really?
And in fact, that time we valued every partner is different. They will bring different professionals different. They'll bring different values. So we really captured the uniqueness of each professional.
Really?
And the waves in our brain of how complex this is started to hit within the first few months because we realized some categories, they're like, okay, great, price discovery hai, theek hai. But if you're selling an electrician, don't care if it's Raju, Ram, like just send a guy, this headache is yours.
Yeah.
So as the first time...
Job should be well done, yeah.
Job should be well done. In fact, the biggest task was time pe pahunch jaye. It's like, okay, fine, maybe we don't need to have 5 people reach out because customer does not know who's better in the 5.
Yeah.
So that's when we went into we'll send the person. As soon as we did that, we entered the logistics problem of now we need to ensure that the person has to reach on time. So this is now entering the service experience rather than just the discovery experience. When we started to do that, we went further in the journey. Then the consumers were like, okay, the person you're sending is not doing a great job. Now what do you do? Then we started to go really revamp into our selection process. There were interviews which will happen with the partners. Theory interviews didn't work, so our office started to look like a lab where like AC technicians will come, like ACs lage hue hain, theek kar rahe hain. And I think from there on, it was just not looking back. We just kept getting sucked into solving for quality, one brick at a time. Training hum log karenge, pricing we'll have to set, we'll have to define the playbook and the catalog just to control quality of the experience. So now when we look back, it seems like what we did we thought was not lead gen, but compared to where we are today, it seemed like we were only a part of the discovery journey. Now is when we are really doing services.
And what are the first few things you got into?
In terms of categories,
Yeah.
we are beauty, salon.
Oh, वो पहले से था, is it?
हाँ,
I thought
we are about-
salons picked up later on. I thought you started off with like carpenter, plumber, AC.
About 5 verticals there.
At least very initially, we didn't have most of these.
Okay.
Most of the services that we play in today were not there.
What are the first few?
Because we were trying to have a horizontal that covers like all service needs. And I think we got a bit carried away into the bespoke category. So we had interior designers, wedding photographers, dietitians, health and fitness. And we also had beauty at home because it was clear to us that the needs are varied and we won't take the conventional route of build one and then sequentially build 2, 3, 4. Because the design of the platform will be different if it has to over time be a horizontal. So let's start with a horizontal.
Okay.
Somewhere we had this gut insight that if you do only one, you get held back. So we started with a horizontal. We started with about 10 categories. And I think of those 10, only 2 or 3 are part of the current basket. Because of what Raghav was saying, over time we realized that the value in the industry or the problem of the industry is not mere connection, but the absence of a reliable, well-trained supply side.
Correct. Correct.
So when that shift happened, one step after another, then it became 2 different businesses. One was this bespoke business where we were doing two-way matching, and the second was a standardized service business where we were taking end-to-end responsibility of the final outcome. And we worked on both for a few years till it became blindingly clear to us that one was delightful consumer experience, great partner earnings, and their love as well, and was growing, and the other just was not working. So somewhere around early 2018, we decided to sunset this part, just double down, and keep going from there.
And that's where the productization of services became. So I'll give you an example in my word, okay? I think the biggest competition for Bombay Shaving Company in my household is Urban Company. It's not Gillette or Nivea or anything. Because every time I really want a great shave on my head specifically, and I am too lazy to do it myself, or I feel like, it's going to take too much time, or I'm not ready for it, etc., I will go on to Urban Company. And now there is do you want a particular professional which you've had before? Right, there are 7-8 options.
Yeah.
The slot is my first. So 60 to 90 minutes is typically where I go. Okay, I want it now in the next hour, hour and a half. So usually, unless it's a Sunday or Saturday, there's always, that is open, which is, I'm always hoping that 60 to 90 minutes wala wo clickable ho. And then I don't choose the professional, even if there's someone I really like. Most of the people I really like a lot. So my tip,
Because you value your time more, your slot more.
No, and I get to talk to different professionals about Bombay Shaving Company also. So it's real selfish. And then I get the guy home. I've noticed, and this is kudos to you both, and the entire team that does customer experience, is the consistency is just phenomenal. they have the same cloth, they have the same mirror, they speak the same language, they ask for the OTP upfront. They are very polite. You can see that they have been trained, but not in a way that takes away their individualism, right? Because barbers, and this is the barber shop, but barbers are, they're artists in their own field, right? They express through the way they will give you a shave or make you look. They are conscious about getting the symmetry of your beard right. So they're different. And I see that in the product also. Like offer, Jeevan was the guy, Jeevan Dogra was the gentleman who came 2 days back, offer Jeevan a glass of water. And then obviously, because they also see the podcast sometimes and they keep telling me that we went to this customer's house and they were watching the podcast and we know you, and they take selfies. So I now have so much interaction with them that their individuality is maintained. But the product, the service is productized so beautifully. And it is done through many micro interactions in that 1.5 hours. So he shaves my head. Then he'll ask me, आपको कौन सा ये पसंद है? Blade कौन सा लगाऊं मैं आपको? Beard कैसी चाहिए? Massage में he'll have like 3-4 ways to do it. And I just find it amazing. So how did you guys think about, because in retrospect, productizing such complicated services seems like a great idea. But to enter it, and you're saying, kind of building on it and doubling down, would have taken immense investments in just making this standard.
So I don't think we understood productization or SKUization as terms. We started with this goal that, just like the consumers were saying, buying a service should be like buying a product on Amazon. It should be seamless. You should be able to see what you're getting into, how much you're going to be able to pay, and exactly the service should get delivered as per the consumer's expectation. So a certain, almost like a, I would say, orchestra the consumer has in mind that should play out. Whether it's a haircut or a cleaning service, things should just happen on song. And that is how we wanted to deliver to the customers. You asked this question of like what was the genesis on the partner side. I think we missed answering that, but it's an equally important part. So the articulation of customers is usually one of frustration. इंडिया में लोग टाइम पे नहीं आते हैं तो काम उन्हें नहीं आता. They're out to get me and get my money. Like everybody is unprofessional.
There's a low trust environment.
That was the consumer's articulation. So when we went to the supply side, we're like, why is it like this? It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense for people to behave in a poor manner if it's their profession. Like they do this the entire day.
Correct.
And if the entire day the customer on the other side is unhappy, they must be miserable. Why are they behaving like this? Obviously, we refuse to believe that all of them are unprofessional. So our starting point was there's something wrong here. People are fundamentally good. We have to figure out what is wrong and fix it. And when we met service professionals, we realized there's a range of skills and capabilities, but the biggest problem is that the whole service industry today does not actually care about them. It actually marginalizes the person. But in a service, the hero or heroine is the person. Everything about your furniture assembly
was the person.
Is the person. If the person did not care about doing a great job, was not skilled to do a great job, was not happy doing what he's doing, you won't see the joy that you saw. So we saw their lives were devoid of any joy. They were all being paid 10 to 15,000 rupees, even if they had been in their profession for years. And they are struggling to make ends meet. So they are not being cared for. They are struggling to make ends meet. We can't expect the person to reach on time with a smile and do a good job. So this is entirely broken. We had no idea how to solve it. But we saw यहाँ भी problem है, customer के side, partner के side भी, service professional के side भी problem है. And we took a leap of faith that this obviously can be solved. Like there are people who want to make a career out of this. There are millions of customers who want their services. this is the big hairy problem that we will solve as a company and make something out of. So when we started, we said, let's connect customers and service.
Classic marketplace, yeah.
Classic marketplace. And what the productization journey was a series of very organic steps. Like Raghav was saying, the customer said, don't give me options, you tell me, like make this easy for me. I want you to decide who the professional should be. And I came to Raghav and said, okay, that options of 5, let's just change that to 1. And we changed it to 1. But then suddenly from, hey customer, we'll give you options, you can
Trust
make
us,
your choice. Now it was, we are going to send a person.
Yeah.
So now we are responsible for everything. Then naturally the customer said, now you have sent one person, you tell me how much to pay. Because earlier we were not prioritizing anything.
Yeah.
We were just saying, your requirement, you figure out with 5 interested, skilled people. So then the customer said, okay, I need a tap fixed, send me 1 plumber. Now you tell me how much should I be paying the plumber. So we had to fix SKUs, we had to fix price. Now the customer said, okay, the plumber was good, but on my next booking, the same, I had another plumbing job, this time the plumber was not as good. So you have a variability in skill. Yeah. And we immediately realized why there is a variability, because when we met the supply side, we knew that everybody is sort of going through like an apprenticeship. किसी से उस्ताद के साथ जाके थोड़ा बहुत सीखा है, शुरू हो गए हैं, over time they've learnt. So there's no formal training and then there is no uniformity in skill level. That is when we took the big step of saying, if we have taken responsibility of quality, everybody has to be at the same bar of skill.
Basic bar, yeah.
And that is not present in the country today. Either we can say, as a result, this business can't be built.
Yeah.
Or we say, okay,
Let's build it.
let's go do the next thing. That is an opportunity. So then we took a really big step of saying we will not work with small businesses who are employing 5, 10, 15 service professionals. We will go work with the service professional directly, because then firstly the incentives of the customer and service professional are well aligned. They will want to do a good job because that links to good pay, and we will skill everybody. So all of these were like half-day discussions in the company to say, giant step, let's just take it. Giant step, let's just take it.
And what were by this, so 2018, 2019, when you were starting out with moving service professionals from independent providers to now urban company providers? Now, because now when I book anyone on or any service on urban company, for me it's urban company coming to my house. It's not Fahim the carpet. That's secondary.
Yes.
But he's usually in an urban company t-shirt. He clearly represents.
That was the next step.
Yes.
So we've trained them. Now there is the whole setup of a service as well. Especially in a beauty service, there are beauty products. So what kind of products are they going to carry? In a repair service, there are tools that are required. So is everybody going with the necessary tools or not? So standardizing every part of the service became just a natural extension. To say we are responsible for everything end to end, right from what service, what price, when will it happen, what will happen through the entire half an hour, 1 hour, 2 hours, nailing down the SOP, supplying every single product that gets used. Like you said, for your haircut, there needs to be a sheet at the bottom. There needs to be a perfect mirror. For some time, used to even give chairs. Then we realized chairs are not needed. People have chairs in their homes.
Correct.
The cape that goes around the whole haircut tool, everything had to be spec'd and had to be the same, irrespective of where in the country the haircut was happening. So that's when the whole kit and the products came, and we built
an entire new business within Urban Company to say we will procure, store, standardize, and build an e-commerce B2B business selling products to our service professionals so that they can carry them.
I think
So the individuality that you mentioned is also very important.
correct.
And that's why our service professionals are not UC employees. They are micro entrepreneurs. They are running their own thing. We are providing them a platform. The consistency of the service, consistency of the price, consistency of quality is important, because only then does a platform scale. Only then can we provide this opportunity to today 60,000 people and tomorrow 1 million people. So there are a bunch of things have to be standardized. But you have to still retain the entrepreneurial zeal of both working hard and not treating it like a job. So the more I work, the more I make. And I am responsible for quality. I am responsible for that extra touch, because then more customers will book me directly and my own business goes up. So the incentives are much better aligned when they are micro entrepreneurs. So we create that balance between standardization yet retaining their individual zeal.
That's amazing. Paint the picture of what the business looks like today and what you're taking it to. Like, we have spoken about how it started, the 2-3 big milestones. We haven't spoken about COVID, which I want to get to. But paint what the picture looks like today in terms of service professionals. What kind of categories are now really scaling? What is exciting for you from a growth standpoint? And what do you think, you're saying 60,000 to 1 million, but what it will look like in the medium term future? Like, if you were to just think about pure numbers and impact of the business.
Sure. Now you want to give a flavor of categories, big categories, and then I can talk a little more about the journey and how we look at the future.
So easiest way to kind of look at the categories is inside a consumer's home, what are the things? You have people. So this is where all your personal grooming services lie. This will be beauty for men, women, spa services for men, women. Then you have appliances in the house. So this is your whole appliance repair and servicing. And this is very specific. Every appliance has to be cracked. Then you have spaces in the house. So this is where you'll have cleaning. Cleaning has multiple dimensions to it. We have cleaning for very, very high frequency, daily level karna hai. It's a maintenance job versus Diwali aa rahi hai, once a quarter, once a 6 months. Just get the whole house shining.
You do that also, is it? Daily maintenance of a facility or of home as well? Like, every day someone going and doing?
Yes, so we have, for India, we have a weekly bathroom cleaning service, which we piloted through last year and this year.
Oh, wow.
Because bathroom is the first thing which could be standardized, and it's just something which does not reach that level of finesse when your ghar ka maid does it.
Correct.
So we have that. In fact, in our international geographies, you have literally daily cleaning. The cleaner will go every day to get the job done.
Got it.
And then you have just bigger projects such as painting, pest control, wall panels.
Yeah.
That
I
starts
love that, by the way. You guys did that more recently, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
It's gorgeous. Like, the moment I see something which you guys do as a new service, immediately within a month, I'll see 5 people recommending it on some or the other WhatsApp group. The word of mouth is just incredible, and you are able to communicate the quality just beautifully, and I think you're able to deliver it very well. So people keep coming back for. In fact, there is something I want to do in my house also, which reminds me. It's just something that you keep saying, baad mein kar lenge.
It's a beautiful product.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It absolutely will change how your living room or bedroom looks.
Really?
Yeah.
But how to, like, so I did like a bunch of wallpapers also recently, and we Asian Paints ka kuch tha, and then there was someone, and then eventually I ended up going to like a person I trusted, and they came. But I'm with this, for example, will someone come show me how it looks, and then come back and do it again, or will it be like a one-time thing?
No, so I think if you look at our overall journey in categories, it's sort of been a journey from moving offline experiences online first.
Correct.
By making it convenient, by making it more reliable, by making it more standardized and high quality. But that was maybe the first
few years, we were mainly doing that. Then we started understanding the spaces and we said, let's innovate. So then we started changing what it means to get a haircut, what it means to get your AC serviced.
Correct.
And we started thinking about what is the future gold standard of this service. Let's innovate and get the service standards in India to that point. That's when we introduced things like the AC Jet.
What is that?
So far, before we introduced this, ACs in India would get cleaned with like that cloth and toothbrush. But if you get AC service from Urban Company, you'll have that plastic jacket put on your split AC.
Okay.
You'll have a water spray that comes out of this equipment.
High pressure jet.
And that spray jet will actually clean the insides of your AC 100%, removing everything. Because with a cloth, you're only cleaning from the front.
Correct.
So how do you really service an AC so that it starts to cool much better, taking out the last 12 months of dirt? Similarly, we innovated on the spa service. So innovating existing services, then bringing services that were not even there, but were latent needs.
Yeah.
So bringing the spa right into your home was introducing something new to consumers that they had never seen before. In fact, 70-80% of our spa users are people who never went to a spa before.
It is
They're
such
just
a
experiencing
sticky
it for the
product,
first time.
Varun. It is such a you do it once, you'll do it every month for sure. Especially if you are going to the gym, you have, aching muscles or whatever. Like my parents to love it.
Correct.
Like they are absolute, and for them, a spa experience would be in a 5-star hotel on vacation or whatever. Super expensive. Suddenly, this becomes very affordable in your home, and you guys do a stunning job of the music, and then there is a candle, and then the guy is really good, and then they clean. My mom's favorite part is, ghar is exactly the way it was before. She thought, tel hoga, kuch girega, house is super clean. So
those have been at different levels, like move existing service made online, made better, innovate on the existing set of categories, introduce new categories people have never seen before. Panels falls right in there, categories that India has not experienced before. But as we have disposable income, as we are becoming more home proud, we want to upgrade our home. So that's where we saw the opportunity. And that's why we said, let's move from only doing painting, which was moving an offline category online,
but elevating it.
thinking about what more you can do with walls.
You know what, honestly?
And so this is like a multi-step experience. So your question earlier, they will come, they will show you on booklets. You can actually touch and feel and see what panel you want, on which wall do you want it. You can mix and match. Then you place the order, you pay. The item comes the next day. Or same partner comes back the next day. It's like a 2-3 hour thing.
Wow.
For anywhere between 10 to 20,000 rupees and 2 to 3 hours of work, your living space is just elevated.
That's amazing. I don't think you're right. I would never have done this had it not been for Urban Company. कौन जाएगा किसी दुकान में or you'll have to find someone who won't do it. For example, sofa cleaning is something that we never did as frequently until Urban Company came into our lives.
Deep cleaning is the same thing.
Yeah.
Sofa, bathrooms. It's like a need you had, but it was never a real professional service.
But sorry, you're talking about, so there is, okay, and beyond that, beyond stuff like that, the wall panels, etc., the categories?
Broadly, then you have like all the fixings, handyman categories. You'll almost see a revolution to what Varun was saying from a lot of fix-it categories, like the fix-it playbook, to enhancing the experience, to now the last wave of categories being almost owning the whole solution. It's not just one instance, one job. It could be multiple jobs. It could be products and services. So you're kind of going up higher in the complexity, the relationship which you have with the user. It's not just a maintenance, hygiene, fix karna hai, but now you're providing a whole solution.
And what does the business look like today?
So we have about 60,000 service partners.
Okay.
We provide services to about 6 million users annually.
How many cities is it now?
About 55 cities in total.
So it's not Urban Company anymore in the real sense, right? Now you've gone beyond urban also, right?
We are in about 52 cities in India, and then we are in a few cities and countries internationally as well. So we even did that.
Do you see semi-urban demand for urban companies as you go into like smaller towns, smaller cities as well?
I would still call the top 200 cities of India
Urban.
as urban India. So I think we are still only in 50 out of those 200, have still a long way to go. Our demand in outside the top 10 metro cities continues to be very strong. So we have, through our journey of launching in these cities, actually realized that the gap in quality there is higher. Now the consumer is as aware as the consumer sitting in Delhi or Bombay, same aspirations. So they are even more keen to book Urban Company Beauty, where you'll have the best facials made by globally best suppliers. You will get the best AC service technique. You'll have your bathroom cleaned, shined using top of the line tools and chemicals. You'll get things like wall panels. These are same aspiration, but the gap is even higher.
Correct.
In tier 2.
Correct.
So our demand from tier 2 is also fairly strong.
You have a brand called Native. Native, right?
Yes.
It's touched 100 crores now?
Native will cross 100 crores in this year, which is our first year of operations. So that's a
actually
new
have.
resounding success.
I have 2 Native products in my house. And
Wow.
I've been paying Abhiraj
Huh.
to let me pay for them. one is again. So this episode will be peppered with like very personal consumer experiences. So I apologize for that. But I remember I was locked out of my house, same house which Fahim set up, and the landlord had one of those old number wala lock things. So suddenly me and my caretaker are both outside with our dog, and this is like 9:30 in the evening. It's not a decent hour at all. And I called up Abhiraj. Who else do you call? I'm like, dude, घर के बाहर अटके हुए ये Yale नाम का brand है, and I think the lock is run out of battery and we are not able to open. He's like, रुक जा करता हूँ. And the thing with Abhiraj is he always picks up the phone, man. Or he calls back very quickly. Within 15 minutes, someone from your team called up. कहाँ पे वो address भेजो, किसी को भेज रहा हूँ. And then the guy came in like half an hour with like this Native का this super state of the art बड़ा सा lock. And then he's like, the 1,000 features on it. तुम बाहर से भी उसको खोल सकते हो, चेंज कर सकते हो, उसका म्यूजिक ऐसा नहीं, ये सब नहीं चाहिए. But just get me inside my house. And he was able to open it, establish this, and then he came in, and then he came inside. I said, पानी पियोगे आप? ले हाँ सर पियेंगे. कौन सा आर ओ यूज करते हो आप? मेरे घर में जो है वो है. बोलता है सर नेटिव का आर ओ लगवा देते हैं. I was like, I'm sure he had instructions from Abhiraj or whoever was managing. I was like, नहीं यार. I was like, ठीक है लगवा लो. No, I'm happy to do it. But please take money for it. He like, हाँ ले लेंगे. Lock का भी और उसका भी. I was like, sure. And I think he set up the RO the next day, which I'm drinking water from, and I'm opening that lock at least 20 times a day. For us, as a product business, it was very hard to get into services. We opened one salon in Delhi and one laser clinic on Golf Course Road. Both of them had at best mediocre outcomes, and we said कि यार product company है, service हमको नहीं आता है. So for a service company, which you guys clearly have a DNA of service, it's very hard to build a product business that you guys are clearly doing it well. What gives you the right to win there in like a business like Native, for example?
So our entry into products was more organic and accidental. As you've gathered, appliance service and repair is a very large part of our business. We repair millions of home appliances every year. And in this experience over the last 10 years, we have repaired over 2 million water purifiers.
Wow.
And we realized through the years that yes, we repair and make them well functional, but customers are really unhappy with this whole category of water purifiers, because the current set of companies sell them a 14,000-15,000 rupees RO and then show up every year to ask for a 5,000 rupees AMC, wanting to change all the filters inside. So customers are constantly saying, one, this is an inconvenience. It's the only appliance in my home that needs to be opened up every year.
Yeah.
Second, this is expensive. Like it's a 15,000 rupees appliance, but you charge me 5,000 rupees every year. This doesn't make any sense. And we knew this pain point. Through our journey of standardizing our service experience, just like we started having our own beauty products and our own spa oils and our own cleaning chemicals, we started having our own water filters as well. And we realized our filters
are better.
last longer. When we put those, then customers are not calling in a year. We're like, ye kya hai? And we realized better was possible. We went to the drawing board. We worked on this problem for about 2 years. And we realized you can build a water purifier that does not need any service for 2 years. So better filtration is actually possible. Then we did a few more things on top of that, and we launched our native water purifier. It's one of its main promises is that it has 10-stage filtration, and the filtration technology is superior to anything else out there in the market. The machine lasts guaranteed for 2 years. It doesn't need any service. Uske baad you'll do one change, again it will last for 2 years. So it lasts 2x more than any other thing you will buy. But not only that, it is a breath of fresh air in the entire category, which has these really old,
Ugly
boring looking devices.
I totally agree
for
with
the last
you. I totally
20
agree
years.
with you. I totally. It is so ugly. Like some of the brands, great, maybe great products. And you're right. I don't really care about.
You don't want to see the intestines of a water purifier.
Correct. I completely agree. And your kitchens look so beautiful now. Your oven, your microwave, your gas, your
Correct.
cabinets are looking gorgeous. And suddenly the RO is a real eyesore.
Correct. So hats off to our
Design.
head and our wonderful team. We built an RO that actually looks fantastic.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
An RO that gets you. It has really neat things. Like it has a tray on which you place your glass or bottle and don't have to hold it.
Correct.
It has touch dispensing. So you don't have to hold the tap either. Whether you want to fill a glass or a bottle or something larger. And it is also smart. So I will show you on my phone. I can see everything about my water purifier. I can see the health of my water purifier.
Are you seeing this?
I can see the health of every single filter in my water purifier. I can see how much water I have actually been consuming. So the health of every single filter, how much water is my family consuming every day. So this device is no longer a black box. So nobody can come and tell you that, oh, it needs change.
You can decide it.
You see it yourself.
And then you can just, if it does, you can just call someone from Urban Company.
If it does, we won't even wait for that. We will tell you that it's time for a filter change. But it has basically changed the entire experience of the consumer in the category of water purification. And that is why it is doing extremely well since we launched it in October. And yes, we are working on launching a great smart lock as well. I would say from native and our early success in native, we've realized that this is a very big opportunity. Making products that actually solve a real consumer pain point in India that has been unaddressed so far. Products that get you, products that are delight to use, that are modern, that make the consumer of today, who's very home proud, who wants to buy everything very selectively and have a lot of satisfaction from the products in their home. There's a huge opportunity going forward to build products for that India.
बहुत यार, and especially now, I love the phrase home proud. I completely agree with you. I see this happening with industries like paint also, where people are now really particular about the color of the paint, the quality of the paint, the interior furnishing, etc. People put a lot of effort in. So 60,000 professionals, 6 million users, 50 cities, now getting into a product business which clearly has huge legs. Like I can imagine you guys doing what Attenberg did with fans. You can do it in any of the appliances you clearly fix on a daily basis. You can do it in air conditioning. And now, I think all of these large tens of thousands of crores of market opportunities open up under native, maybe one brand name, but maybe just building out brands that are on the foundational elements of the expertise that you have as people who have worked with these appliances or these products for so many years. Is that something that is a big part of the next 5 years, or are you guys still going to say, you know what, that is something that will be peripheral, but our core business is taking these 60,000 service providers to 1 million, 50 cities to 200, and being the best solution for services for
So I would say we are early in the journey of products, so thoughts there are still developing. The service side future is a lot more clear and well mapped out for us. We do see today itself there are about 30-40 million households that should be using Urban Company, that will grow to 50-60 million households over the next 5-10 years. Of them, we are only scratching the surface. About 10 million have tried us, 6 million use us every year. So we have to get into the homes of more customers. When you look at what we offer as a platform, we offer about 30 to 35 different service consumption opportunities to a family. From the monthly haircut and waxing facial appointment, to getting your electrician, plumber, carpentry services, to getting your AC serviced, your appliance repaired, your bathrooms cleaned, your home deep cleaned for the festival, and your once in a few years full home painting, but also once every year touch up of a few things that go bad in the house, a few crayon marks, a few scratch marks. So we offer many consumption opportunities. Today, our users tend to use only one or two, most users tend to use only 1 or 2 or 3 of these categories. So out of 30 consumption opportunities, on average, we capture about 5. Yes, there are users for whom we capture all.
Yeah.
There are users for whom we capture one odd thing. So we want to get into all of these 40-50 million homes, and we want to serve all of their service needs. That's the opportunity ahead of us.
Supply
So
will be
in
there
that
for us?
whole supply, in that whole universe, we are only, to the best of our math, maybe 3% of the market.
You think the supply exists, or will you have to create it now at some point?
So we are already on the journey of creating supply. Our
Not
first
just training, but creating it from the scratch. Like,
Yes. So we've, just like on the service side, there has been a evolution from standardizing to innovating to creating services.
Yeah.
On the supply side, there has been an evolution from finding the best in the market and giving them an opportunity to multiply their earnings,
correct.
to, I would say, upskilling people who were partly qualified to, and we had to train them for a few days or 2 weeks, to now in many categories, we are taking individuals who have the hunger of a great future but don't have the skills today, and we are training them from scratch. And those training programs are longer. They go anywhere into 2-3 months, and those training investments are higher.
Yeah.
But we see that it is, again, that's the opportunity to create the future service professionals of the country in the tens of thousands every year. So we are actually taking that head on, and yes, more and more of the future will be creating service professionals.
But that's a skilling challenge, at least at the scale at which you guys operate, right? It's a
So
skilling-
even today, we run 200 training classrooms in 15 cities, and then we run temporary training classrooms outside that. We have over 3 lakh square feet of training space that we run across all our different categories. We have 300 trainers who are part of the company who do these trainings. We train about depending on the month, anywhere between 2,000 to 5,000 professionals every month. So in a way, you could say we are actually a training
Yeah.
and skill building
company.
and everything else is on top of it.
And it won't just be skilling. There's skilling, there's a lot of tooling, there's a lot of standardization of what needs to be done. So as you kind of scale your supply, you want to solve for more complex problems, but it has to be simpler to the professional. Otherwise, it just becomes hard to scale, and then variance starts to go up.
Yeah.
Like for example, I was looking for rental apartments in Gurgaon recently. I'm moving from Delhi to Gurgaon. So usme pehli cheez was to see if the AC is working or not. Switched on the AC is not cooling. So first the owners called their local professionals. They came, they said, sir, gas charge kar denge. Chaliye, theek hai. And I was quiet, theek hai. One gas top up went. Still not cooling. Like, theek hai, ab company se bulate hain. So the company guys came, looked at it, said, gas theek nahi bhara hai, we'll flush and again do it. We're like, okay, try that. Didn't work. Then we called them again. More diagnosis happened. This ordeal lasted for 2 weeks. Then I talked to our team. The good thing is I know you see guy coming, I know how it works. At least what he's saying, I won't double cross him. If he says gas bhara hona chahiye, that's how ACs work. Then I talked to the head trainer just for me to understand how do you even diagnose this thing. It can't take 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Now, AC technically has like 4 main components and then a bunch of ancillary components. Each component, ideally when you're diagnosing, needs to be tested. Some could be tested through electrical equipment, some through other ways. If you ask a professional to do it, A, he needs to know all of this. That's the skilling challenge. B, he needs to have all the tools to measure it. Now, problem is if he has like 5 tools, 10 different SOPs to meet, it is just very hard for everyone to figure it out. Right? And the next wave of innovation which would come here is you could probably have consolidated tools which you can just plug into the AC, and it will probably measure like 60-70% of it. It will require us to kind of really figure out better SOPs on the supply side. And every SOP innovation leads to customer side SKU at times as well. So you simplify really. So the way you can almost model our training job is you can either keep really upskilling the partners, which is one part of the problem, or you can almost imagine as us giving them an Iron Man
Suit.
which is our tooling problem. And both, along with our SOP and SKUs, kind of go hand in hand to solve the supply scaling quality problem.
And what Raghav is stopping short of saying is like this, not just vision.
Yeah.
This we are going to launch this year. We already have 200 partners with these devices that we have made. These are a plug-in to your appliance, and the screen will show what the problem is with your appliance.
This is like out and out, like R&D stuff basically. You convert an appliance into like what happens at a car, at a BMW showroom today.
Yeah.
You plug the car in, it tells you exactly what's wrong, or what you're showing with your native RO today is something.
This also we've been working on for the last 2.5 years, and it's in testing phase. Then we'll launch it. What he's trying to say is, skilling becomes easier
Yeah.
if you are able
Tool
to
well. Yeah.
bring in technology into how the service professional is doing his or her job.
Because almost like you're making it easier, and they become a lot more efficient at their work. You're right. Like diagnosing the AC becomes easier if they have something like this on hand to do it. That's incredible. So now this is like a third element of the business almost in a way. And
We look at this as part of
the business.
service innovation for customers, because not only does this make the job easy, it also brings in much required transparency. Like for a appliance repair job,
Yeah.
this is the biggest consumer problem. What is actually wrong with my appliance? Am I going to be charged for that, or am I going to be charged over and above that?
Yeah. Absolutely. Like I completely agree.
So this device not only makes the job easier for the service professional, but brings in trust and transparency. So not only have we SKUized repairs, but hey, the machine is telling this is what is wrong. Now the service professional is going to, with your permission, go ahead and execute.
Incredible. You speak about your service professionals as micro entrepreneurs or entrepreneurs in their own right. They have freedom to kind of. Honestly, I've seen a lot of people who come and work on especially the grooming part want to go from Salon Prime to Salon Royal, and they want to go and do the training, and they want to get the right steps. They want to get the right ratings. They want to do it for enough amount of time. They want some kind of recommendations to get up. So I'm assuming even the training is an investment that they make, and over a period of time they make it back. So now you're converting all of these 60,000 and over a period of time 1 million people. You're training them, skilling them, giving them tools and technology, but also converting them into entrepreneurs with much higher incomes and changing their lives. Talk a little bit about, and maybe you could do this through examples, but people who have had from two journeys of jobs that were paying 15,000 rupees a month to now entrepreneurs who may be super enterprising and building their own thing. But I would love to know, because just looking at Fahim and Jeevan and all of these folks, I'm sure the top of the pyramid must be exceptional.
So I can give you numbers and the overall picture. Everybody at Urban Company will have at least 10, if not 20, 30 stories of service professionals whose life has changed. I think our regular customers would have tens of stories, because out of the 60,000 service professionals, I can say without a doubt we would have had a dramatic transformative impact on the life of 90% of them.
In what
90%.
way? Say more.
So they all come from backgrounds where they have been working for a SMB. And when you are a service employee of an SMB, the
SMB is small
medium business
owner.
Like a small parlor to a salon, a repair shop, a cleaning company, a painting contractor.
Correct.
You've been working at fixed employed jobs
Correct.
with these guys. That's majority of the partners' previous lives.
Correct.
And their wages were really, really low. And wage increment over the years was also really, really low. So if I take salon professionals in a small parlor, even in Delhi or Gurgaon, they would be making 10-12,000 rupees. If they work at a branded salon for a few years, they would still be making early 20s. So that's sort of the range. Early 10-12,000 rupees or early 20s. That's the range from which all our service professionals have been coming.
Okay.
Now, by virtue of our model, where they keep 80% of the money that they make and we keep 20-22% commission, we are actually flipping the model of the SMB. The SMB keeps more than 80% and gives the service professional very little. That's why their incomes are very low.
Correct.
The SMB has higher costs of running their
Rent
stuff,
and so on.
plus they also want to make more money because they generally run one thing.
Correct.
We have lower costs, we operate at much higher scale, and we have a longer vision of what we want to build. So we are happy to take less per transaction and have the service professional make more. So by virtue of the design of the business model, our service professionals make 50 to 100%, and the best ones much, much more than what they were making before. So on an average, our service professionals make 24,000 rupees average take home, net of all costs.
Really?
Net of our commission, net of their cost of travel, the cost of products that they use, any and every expense netted off.
50 to 100% increase, 24,000 on average across 60,000 people earned net of commissions, costs, everything.
Everything.
So clearly a delta.
20.
But when we went out, when you and I went out, you also spoke a little bit about individually what that meant for a lot of them, and just talk a little bit more about how.
So just on the numbers itself, 24,000 is the average. Now, a lot of people join us for flexibility. They want to take care of their home and work only a few days in the month.
Okay.
So for people who do more than 30 services in a month, which is only one service
A day.
a day, their incomes are actually 33,000 rupees. So 24,000 is average of everybody. If you are somewhat engaged on the platform, which is doing
One
more than
service a
30 service a month, then your average earning take home is 33,000 rupees. And the top 20% professionals on the platform make 42,000 rupees take home. This is again the top 20%. So there are enough. 20% means 12,000 are making more than 42. So enough make 60,000, 70,000, 1 lakh per month as well. So I think, like I was telling you before, I can say safely for more than 90% of the professionals, this has been a transformative experience. They are making more money than they ever thought they will. Because the tracks that they were on, increments in salary are very, very little. So what are they able to do? They are able to move from a really like one room house. Pura family is living in maybe 100 square feet. When they are earning, 12, 15, 16,000 rupees, they move to a real house
Yeah.
where kids have living space. They are able to move their kids to English medium schools. Many of their kids actually go to top English medium schools in respective cities. Many service professionals I meet, and I recently met a whole bunch that live in West Delhi, send their kids to Springdale, Delhi, where many of the top household children who live in West Delhi would be going to. So they can afford and meet aspirations of their kids going to English medium schools and having a rightful better future. They are able to buy things for themselves and family for the first time. So go from walking or cycle to having a bike, go from bike to having a car. Many service professionals now commonly will go to a customer's house driving their own car that they have bought from money that they made on the Urban Company platform. They're able to buy jewelry for their wives and family members. Many male service professionals say that they're able to pay for their sister's wedding, which is their responsibility as the man of the house. They're able to build a home for themselves and parents back in their village. So dreams that they had thought of kabhi pure honge are being fulfilled. Dreams that they thought shayad kabhi pure nahi honge, those are also getting fulfilled. Women who are more than a third of our partner force are seeing the same jump. And for them, it's not only a jump in earning and being able to give a better future and some material purchases, but it changes their entire status in the family.
Say more.
Many are able to walk out of troubled marriages because now they are genuinely independent and confident and are able to no longer deal with that disrespect that they had to deal with because they were independent. That is a huge win for us. And this is not isolated. There are
a trend.
hundreds of such stories. This is a problem. It never comes to the surface. It has been able to come to the surface because our partners have been able to walk out of bad marriages. Partners are now getting recognized in their homes as the leader of the family because they are making more than their husbands. Ample cases where husbands actually drive our beauticians and our spa service professionals to the job, wait there for the hour to 2 hours and then drive them back. Because as a couple, they're able to make more money with the husband driving the female service professional around versus doing separate jobs. So think about the power equation
in that household. The in-laws think of the daughter-in-law as genuinely running the house. Now,
Adding tremendous value now.
I met. I can share a few stories.
Please do.
As well. So many. Choosing becomes a problem for me. So, this service professional I met, Brunda, in Bangalore. During COVID, she could not run her salon anymore, and had to shut her salon. Then she joined us in our middle. We have 3 categories in salon. She joined the middle category. From being in debt, she went to making 35,000-40,000 rupees a month. Was able to clear all her debt over the first year. Then was able to sort a few more things out in the household and family. Now, moved to our Lux category and works so hard, even now 4 years into the platform, she makes 1.3 lakh rupees every month. She is saving a good chunk of it to send her kids to a top private college in Bangalore, because they will be graduating from high school in, I think, 3 years' time. Single mom. So think about what her life
The from to
would
is
have
crazy.
been before and what her life is now. There are women professionals I've met who came from small towns in UP. There used to work at a parlor, make, because this small town UP, 7,000-8,000 rupees. Moved to Bangalore. So think about they took a bet in life. Moved from small town UP to Bangalore
Not Delhi or North India.
in search for opportunity. There worked in local parlors. Maybe that 7,000-8,000 went to 10,000-12,000 rupees. Then joined urban companies straight to 35,000 rupees. And now looking forward to making 50-60 as they graduate to the next year. So the impact that money creates, because now they are genuinely able to move to a solid middle class lifestyle, take care of themselves, take care of kids, their future, take care of brothers, sisters, take care of parents. That's how it happens in a family in that segment. If one person is doing well, they start taking care of everybody in the entire extended family. They start paying for education and marriages of their siblings as well, and they are like the torch of light for their family. And I think I'll probably fail to do justice, but this impact means the most to us as founders. One such story gives me energy to go on for the next few weeks. And in many ways, we take personal responsibility for all our professionals to do well. Like the fact that hardworking people who are giving it their sweat and heart were not able to make ends meet was very painful. We want to move from that India to an India where people who want to work hard will see commensurate rewards, will see a great, bright future very, very quickly. So it deeply connects to why we came back to build the nation. And I think giving that platform to these 60,000, soon going to lakhs and maybe a million at some point in the future, that's living our dream.
When you were talking, it actually made me feel like you speak about home proud consumers. I think you're also creating home proud service professionals. You see them going from 1-room homes to now 2-bedroom with living spaces for their children. I'm assuming a lot of them are urban company customers themselves. Like
They are.
Brinda probably
They are.
is getting an
Yes.
electrician.
She has an
or
AC at her
getting-
home.
Or an AC
Yeah.
repair person from.
Yeah, absolutely.
I remember when you guys did.
And when they start doing well, they get their whole community to work with us also. There are examples where starting from one spa or massage service professional, like a family of 50 works on the platform.
I remember when you did the ad with the sister and the brother, she's the spa therapist, and he gets teased by his friends
Yeah.
because they think that she's in the wrong business,
Yeah.
or in a shady business, and he has a fight with her. It's a beautiful ad. I think it captures the emotions because massage parlors have always had innuendo
Bad connotation.
of the obvious, right? And that's not the case with the Urban Company. In fact, you guys are very careful about safety in the homes. Women are only served by female therapists, men are only served by male therapists. I think you guys have gotten those SOPs absolutely spot on, but the pride in the job. For me, like the biggest takeaway from that ad was her coming in a car and going in a car. And you could clearly see she's the older sibling. I think it's only the mom, her and the brother. I think the fathers know more. I think you could see the photo. Very nicely done ad. Like for me, I'm a marketing guy. I notice well done ads. And for me, the takeaway was she goes to work and comes in a car. And whoever's made that ad, kudos to them, because there are obviously the main story and the main plot, but there are a lot of subplots that actually shine also. And frankly, I think everyone says this, that we want to create jobs for our people. Like I think in ride hailing or wherever, everyone's tried to do that. But in your case, I think genuinely, because you've been so focused, you're almost vertically integrated from identification to training to now them being a part of the brand to then taking care of them later on, measuring their income, making sure that I think you've really done a stand-up job of actually creating the entire virtuous cycle of converting an underpaid employee at an SMB into a fully independent entrepreneur earning 3, 4, 5 times or maybe even more what their income was. That circle requires a lot. It's not just about network effects or marketplace creation, but it's a lot that comes, and you guys have done it across the board. I want to talk to you about your personal journeys as entrepreneurs. And one thing again about Urban Company that really speaks to me a lot, and I don't know whether you saw, we also have our own ESOP, share price of our shares as a graph that goes in our reception.
Okay.
But you guys have done ESOP buybacks multiple times, wealth creation for your employees at Urban Company. And you, three of you, like we spoke before the shoot started, you helped us with recruitment without even ever having met me, just because we reached out and you interviewed people for us and so on in your domain of tech. But the three of you have tremendously stellar reputations in the founder ecosystem, the investor ecosystem. Anyone who wants to build a company, like you guys genuinely are good human beings, always there to help, responsive. And I think that reflects in when I walk the Urban Company offices or I get an Urban Company service, I think it reflects. But how has the last 10 years been for you as founders? Obviously, these are things that outside in I have obviously observed, but how have these 10 years, especially coming from 3-4 months of failing at the first one to now second one, like being spectacular success for 10 years and building, what has it been like for the both of you?
Maybe Raghav. Raghav's the most cerebral one. I'm the plumber in the company.
Varun's favorite quote is, "We are in an unsexy business. Our job is to make the unsexy sexy."
Yeah. I agree.
That's a tough question. And we also probably started this journey very young. So it's the company shaping us. It's been our just life phases shaping us, from being bachelor boys to marriage to kids. So I think that 10-year journey probably has a mixture of a lot of that. I would say probably started off, broadly can see my emotions bucket in 3 parts. I think the first initial part was just all emotion. You're young, you want to empower, employment, solving, disrupting. So there's a lot of heart. I think then came a wave, this is probably for me at least second half of my 20s, where it's a lot of, I call that as my MBA or my mini consulting phase, where I learned how does that part of the mind work. Very rational, outcome driven, OKRs. We went really big into OKRs, सबसे OKRs लिखा रहे हैं, tracking them like crazy. So I think there was that phase of learning. It worked well for that period as well, which is so much to do. You want to control the fragmentation. You want to ground a lot of the discussions in what is the outcome you're chasing. The teams are expanding, so it's just harder to manage as well. And I feel now I've entered a phase where I've kind of gone into a lot more of what are the inputs. So maybe more of a Zen phase compared to maybe the first 7-8 years. We're genuinely caring about the craft of the business. How do you crack a service? What are the different things you could do? It could be service, it could be the different roles you're doing on a daily basis, right? Just honing the quality of just pure input kind of has started to matter just so much more. I think just appreciation for focus has become just so much more. You've kind of realized that you'll always have enough problems. So there's no point kind of buckling or pursuing 100% problems have to be solved. You have to kind of enjoy the journey for what it stands and be proud of what you've done. So at least that's been my phase of young energy, high emotions to very brutal frameworks of prioritization and outcomes and OKRs to ye sab nahi farak padta. Just concentrate on doing good work, inputs, do a few things, nail them, and life will probably pan out well.
Yeah, I think Dhoni says that very well. Like, believe in the system, like, believe in the process. And I always used to think, no, man, outcomes are everything. This and that. He was right. He's absolutely, I completely agree with.
Also, we've seen like different phases of the company. So, sometimes it's easy to see what you will do will bring a certain outcome. But company building is not cracking one PMF.
Yeah.
Right? PMF is like a very popular term, product market fit. We, I think, trivialize it to saying this, crack this one thing and you're going to make a company which will last 100 years. That's not how it is. Like every year, every month, you're trying to crack something new.
Yeah.
And that becomes a process in itself.
What are you most proud of? Maybe from a tech standpoint, like just the scalability, the team, well, like across these three phases. But if I were to like ask you at the 10-year point, what are you most proud of?
Culture, I would say culture. It will sound like a very wishy-washy statement. A lot of people don't understand what it is.
But I was going to ask you to like define that, because you clearly have a way with words. But define culture in terms of what
I would say culture is the actioning framework in a company. It helps people decide what to do without actually it having been told top down. It sets a certain protocol of what kind of decisions are appreciated, what kind of way of working is appreciated. And now after 10 years, it finally is, you can actually see how the org is functioning and what are the better decisions, what are not so good decisions. And at the heart of it is not actually you coming up with a vision, it's just the org kind of knowing.
Yeah.
And for me, at least the 2-3 pillars which stand for us, I think as a company, we stand very high for ownership. Ownership ka downside bhi hai. Everyone feels they're an owner, so decision making becomes harder. But we actually love it. We love debates. We love everyone standing for what they believe in is right. It will take maybe one extra week to decide, but usually what we've figured is the right thing.
It sharpens the answer a lot.
So our failure rate relatively would be much lesser. We don't like just throwing 30 ideas and let's see kya chal raha hai. In the services company DNA also, right? Like you have to, whatever you think has to be trained to another human into the day.
Correct.
So ownership is something which I really value. First principles, I think, is a fairly natural phenomenon for us.
Yeah, Varun spoke about it a bunch of times. First principle problem solving. Yeah.
There are a lot of engineers in the company, so it's just more intuitive. You can derive arguments bottom up, top down, just gut call. Yes, this seems like the right thing to do. Simplicity is a newer DNA which is emerging. We are in a very complex business. No two categories function the same way. Right?
Yeah.
Like you have a category which could be on demand, just one job done in beauty, where the job is getting done on a human, to like a painting, which is, people don't understand the process of painting. It could last for 5 days. You have 5 professionals coming in. So over time, we've realized the beauty of simplifying things, focusing, and I think that's become the newer emerging cultural pillar. Yeah. So just institutionalizing this in the org, I think, is a proud moment.
The way it plays for me personally is that if I'm going to do something new on urban company, like for example wall panel, and maybe the process may be unknown to me because I'm doing it for the first time, because urban company is doing it, I trust it. Okay, I'll figure it out. Let me book it. Worst comes to worst, I'll get a refund, but I'll book it, and I'm sure the person will educate me on what exactly this is going to go on. And it comes from the culture of ownership, of problem solving to the nth level, getting the service right, because it's so difficult to get services right. Like hospitality businesses, airline businesses, everyone like spends years getting basic processes which as consumers you take for granted. But in your case, as a consumer, I actually can see the complexity. It's staring you in the face. It's not as you can't take it for granted. So I can totally imagine how hard it must be, and for you to do that.
You asked, for example, tech. In engineering, it's considered cool to try and innovate and build things which are highly customizable. But we've actually taken a very different spin to it. And it's taken years and years for it to now be institutionalized, where we've always taken a lot of pride in platformizing.
Okay, say more.
So since day one, we didn't care about 3 different language stacks, which used to be a hot topic like 10 years ago in tech communities, right? Like the best new language to try. We platformized that. We reduced the variability. And we were very clear. We are a services company. Regardless of departments, your free mind needs to be thinking about how to crack a service. You should not be thinking about how to deploy code, how to solve for performance, how to solve for bugs. Let's platformize that, standardize that. So this pursuit of platformizing for us is not about how many more configurations you can add to the system, but it's the opposite. It's how much can you codify the business playbook into tech, because only when you codify will then the human work on the next innovation. Otherwise, you're constantly stuck in configuration and tweaking things, and that's just a counterproductive journey. I think that comes from our first principles and our simplification.
Yeah.
I just make life easier for yourself so that you can go to the next level of problem.
It's very underrated, by the way. Like, if you make life easy for yourself, well, a lot of us are kind of raised in this, in an Indian schooling system where solving difficult problems has a bigger pot of gold at the end of it. So you start searching for harder and harder things, assuming that at the end of this hard problem will be like a bigger reward. But solving easier problems sometimes reaches far better rewards, and I completely agree with it. What about you, Varun? Like, what are you most proud of? Having, come back to India to do something nation building. Raghav spoke about culture, but what has your personal journey been as an entrepreneur?
I think I'm most proud of the impact that we have created on people. And this is impact on customers, on partners, and then internally on everybody. So stories like you said, how we made your day.
Yeah.
That happening millions of times in a year, that gives me a lot of joy. And obviously from friends and family, I keep getting these stories. From our customers, I keep getting these stories of even something as simple as, came back from a long week of travel, on my way from the airport, booked your massage, partner was there, and within 2 hours, I was refreshed and jumping like a kid again. So the fact that we can deliver that experience to customers at scale and create joy in their life means a lot to me. The service partner piece I spoke about. And there is the elevation in lifestyle of the service professionals. But what gets me even more proud is the improvement in social status of our women professionals. And some other stories. I'll give you a fun story.
Yeah.
Jitendra Yadav, RO repair technician.
Okay.
I met him because he came to my house the other day. He was saying, sir, कंपनी के पहले ना मेरी शादी नहीं हो रही थी बिकॉज मेरी गर्लफ्रेंड के पिताजी वो शिमला रहते वो कह रहे हैं
इसकी तो क्या तनख्वाह है, क्या नौकरी है, इससे शादी नहीं होगी. कहीं हमने पेशेंटली 1-2 साल निकाले, फिर मैंने अर्बन कंपनी ज्वाइन करी और 1 साल बाद मैं एक रॉयल एनफील्ड चला के दिल्ली से शिमला गया अपनी अर्बन कंपनी टी शर्ट पहन के, और शादी पक्की हो गई थी.
Wow.
So that moments like that make everything worthwhile for me. And professionals sharing that they're able to take their kids to a vacation in Goa.
Yeah.
Would they ever think about taking a vacation, flying with their family to Goa outside of Urban Company? I don't think it would have happened.
Yeah.
In the life of that professional and the lives of many others. Our professionals get, like if you have a relationship with Fayed, many professionals, especially on the beauty side, tell me customers book me on my birthday. And when I go there, they have a birthday cake for me. So that's us creating societal impact. And similarly on the internal people side, so many of our team members joined us straight out of college and are now senior leaders in the company over 4, 5, 7, 8 years. So their growth, just seeing their journeys so closely, and again tens of such stories.
Have
And all of this makes me most proud.
one of the things with culture, great culture is, have you seen alumni of Urban Company go out and become good founders? Like, are there companies that you guys have invested in or alumni have founded, etc., which have kind of scaled, which our viewers may know about?
Yeah, there are a few that people may already know of. A bunch are in the making. So, Mesa School
Besides
has
Urban
been
Company,
started by Urban Company.
Pristine Care also.
Pristine Care. Provigrow is a agri-tech company started by Urban Company alumni. Probo is Urban Company alumni.
One of the investments I have,
Nextport and a few others.
one of the investments which we made on the barber shop. Did we make? No, I made it personally. Is in a company called Hoop. They make pain relief products. Sehersh was an Urban Company.
Yes,
His
Hoop was
wife
Urban Company.
Twinkle was in McKinsey before. And for a long time, I think
Comet is Urban Company alumni.
Comet is oh lovely.
In fact, I hardly know folks who've joined another company.
That's-
Mostly it's been
So
Really?
you would, especially at senior levels, nobody is left.
Why? Why?
Urban Company to
It's just the
join
work, or
another
is it like the financial incentives, the work, combination of everything? What keeps them there? What is the rigor of stimulation?
I think it's all these three aspects. They genuinely get to do the work of their lives. So we hire folks who care about our mission, right? Care about really creating impact over 4 or 5 years of their work. So you have to get the hiring right to have good culture, good retention. Then they're actually able to see that in their lives. Personal growth, doing really great work, being surrounded by people who you actually like to spend time with. So people have friends at work, genuinely great relationships at work, and things like our ESOP program really make them partners in the journey, and they get to share the wealth that they create.
It feels good when like people at Urban Company like of course when Jitendra and Brinda make a lot more money and are able to get married and send their kids to school, but when people who you recruit are able to create wealth which is multiple orders of annual salaries, pay off home loans, gift cars to parents, etc. Must be feeling good, right?
Yeah, no, it's again a
You
very
ever
big
think that will happen like when like people I have seen founders typically discover the power of ESOPs along the way. I don't think, at least when I started, I did not know what equity wealth creation actually was financially. I had some vague theoretical understanding of what will happen if we do well, but milestones along the way are also important from this standpoint. When they actually play out, it's a big aha, at least was for me. Was it the same for you, or did you guys know that if we do well, this has to happen for our people?
I think
the numbers we didn't know or think about the final outcome, but ESOP as a very important part of the company building journey is something we believed in from the inception. So we created like a 10% ESOP pool on day one. So we will contribute. This has to be there. Because like the more you share, the more it grows is something I learned from my mom. As kids, she would, whenever we would get like chocolates from any relatives, I would come and keep it in the fridge and be like, okay, I will savor this over like 2 months. I would come the next day and 90% of it is gone. Because she's given it away to other friends in the apartment. And I would be unhappy as a kid. But then she would always say, the more you share, the more you will get. And somehow, mysteriously, next week somebody else would come and give like a lot of chocolates. See, I told you. The more you give, the more you get back. Like somewhere that philosophy got ingrained. And when I saw like this construct of ESOPs, it made total sense to me. Like everybody is part of the journey, so they should take part of the reward. Plus, at a very philosophical level, the more you share, the more it grows. And yes, that's how we started with a strong pool. We started with like really strong construct around vesting, strike price, and the few things that come with ESOP policy. We contributed to the ESOP pool over time as well to keep it growing, and those water cooler liquidation movements. So yeah, seeing the personal and financial growth of our team members is hugely gratifying.
That's amazing. I think you're right. I think a lot of times ESOPs, it's for me also it is hard to understand, right? Strike price being lower or much lower, and not just the valuation when you join, for example. But if you do that, then it sits as a loss on your balance sheet. So you have to make sure you account for it when you are creating the pool itself, or when people are exercising, or the tax implications on people who exercise ESOPs is much higher. But if they exercise now and then they kind of sell in 3 years, they get capital gains, but then they have to pay without liquidation right now. A lot of this stuff people don't get. People know ESOP as like this broad term. Even young founders who are creating the pools, but the government does make it a little harder. And as founders, like at least for me, it was a learning process to figure out. But I think overall, when you guys create the kind of value that you have created, I think it's good to give the government the amount, but amazing to see people do well.
You have anything to share, Raghav, on ESOPs?
I think we've been very careful in aligning incentives. Whenever we've gone through like hiring, we've been very clear of not hiring people with comp being the highest selling point.
Yeah.
In fact, time and again, we've made sure we are not the highest compare against other competing offers people have done. And it's a very tough journey. You have to go in, fight in the trenches, convince people at the hiring phase itself. But what that does over time is you get a self-selected lot of folks who are more aligned to long-term value creation and not just there to optimize for comp. Because see, there's no end to getting the highest buck in the current year. And hence, we've kind of been able to go through that, getting equity which aligns with long-term wealth creation. And we've done that not just for the senior most layers.
And tech is one of the harder places for this to happen. And your specific team must be harder.
As tech has the best retention in our company, which is such a flip. It's very normal to kind of have folks who are there for like 6-7 years. And I think those battles through the years of getting people with the right incentive, not making about money sabka banega 10 saal baad. It's a long-term journey, right? Like everyone will go through that, create that opportunity. But that has kind of paid off well. If people who stick longer, who will fight hard, innovate hard, stay for the right reasons.
That's amazing. And talk about a little bit.
People who seek long-term gratification are just different.
Yeah, I agree.
And surround yourself with them, you build a great company.
They build different. I agree. Talk a little bit about the kind of people who have helped you externally, not just people who joined you in the teams or hires, but investors who came along the way. You guys are one of the best, like largest funded businesses. I think this kind of business with the kind of investment you guys are talking about, it does require capital for a few years before business models start kind of staring back at you, right? Because there is no way you would have seen how this is going to make money earlier on. Like when you're doing marketplaces, like it's so difficult to make money in general unless the scale is massive. Then you have to invest in training, then you have to kind of bring it in, then gross margins take a hit. So I'm assuming your business model would have really taken time to evolve, but now at a certain stage of maturity, it's looking good, but it's taken a while. But people who have been patient, mentored you, backed you with capital, and this could be too, like mentorship in terms of time or in terms of capital or in terms of both, would have played a big role. And the three of you are kind of stuck together also. So talk a little bit about like those personal dynamics and the role of capital in building Urban Company.
Yeah, I think all three kinds of senior folks who've seen more of the world, have been very, very instrumental in building Urban Company. Starting with our angel investors,
Who were the ones?
Rohit and Kunal from Snapdeal were...
Titan Capital. Was it Titan Capital then or was it just the both of them?
It was just both of them. So they were among the first believers. Then Elevation, that was back then Saif Partners.
Who was the guy who did it? Was it Mukul? No.
Mukul Singhal and Ravi.
Mukul Singhal.
Mukul Singhal and Ravi believed in us as people and more broadly the space. Abhinav from Axel.
Chaturvedi.
Yes. These were the first set of folks who believed in our seed round. And yeah, back then we actually did not know what we were doing beyond that services is a problem, and we've taken the mantle of solving it. And we have this website and we're doing a few things. So early believers, I think we have really high regard for what they saw in us and our ability to create something. And you were alluding to this earlier, the period of 2015-16 was bonkers in India. We came to know only later through press reports. There were some 300 companies who rapidly started doing what we were doing. Several of them got funded. So our investors doubled down when we were like, okay, where is this going? Tiger Global's funded another company. So for
Housejoy. Tiger went to Housejoy, right?
Local Oil,
Local.
they had funded. So the response of our investors was, we'll give you more. We were like, oh, really? So they doubled down on us. Then Vishal from Bessemer joined just a few months after.
Vishal, again, someone who everyone speaks very highly of. Whoever talked to them speaks very highly of.
In 2015 itself. Then we had Vamsi, who's actually our IIT friend, and Alexander Tamas from VY Capital. They were our believers since 2016, and they've continued to double down on the company since then. And wonderful relationship with them. Then Ravi from SteadView, then the folks at Tiger Global, and Wellington and Dragoneer and Prosus came along the way. So many stellar investors, and everybody played their role, from believing in us when the idea was just
nebulous almost,
on paper, to when the idea was getting crystallized, to folks who backed us to scale, who then backed us to continue to innovate. Because in our journey, it's never been obvious to most people, where is this going? We kind of figured the path every year. Like Ravi from Elevation says, you guys just kept figuring every year how to continue to grow. And over time, like, made this TAM of services in India real now, increasingly products as well. So for investors to back us at every stage, I think was, to us, meant a lot, and their inputs and value meant a lot. Angel investors, Kunal and Rohit, we spent hours and hours with in their office. We would always go for a short discussion, and we would like spend 4 hours there. And we would come out thinking, "Acha, हमारी तो company अभी start ही हुई है. They are the big company. How do they have all this time?" But they were incredibly generous with their time, and as you know, razor sharp with their insights and inputs. And now we have really strong independent board members like Irina Vittal, Ramesh Gupta, Shyam Mukherjee. Again, legends who've seen companies through decades, companies obviously much bigger than us, and are able to tell us right from wrong from a incredible vantage point.
Building a good board also is so important. Like a lot of companies, even public companies, after IPO, there's that like large scale they still struggle with getting a good board together. But this sounds like the perfect combination of founders, promoters, investors, shareholders, and independent directors who kind of make what is clearly a nation building effort come to life.
Raghav's had advisors on the tech side,
He's been an advisor on the tech side.
making.
Our first investment was kind of a funny story. When we went to Rohit and Kunal on paper idea, he's like, help us validate, think through this. They're like, okay, great, idea is great. But beyond the point, idea mein kuch nahi hai. Just go and execute. Like, come back with the app built. So like, okay. So we come back after 1 month and we have like some MVP version built. And that really makes them curious. Like, okay, great. We were not expecting you to build it. So like, okay, fine. Yeah, would you like some money? Like, yeah, money to chahiye nahi tha. Aisa bhi hota hai. We can actually raise funds. What is this concept? And I think that's what triggered an Axer and then Saif, now Elevation to come in. Otherwise, I think the first time we would have figured kitna paisa chahiye, would have all put like what, 4 lakhs, 6 months runway? 6 months mein ho gaya, otherwise we are broke, we have no money and time to pack up.
Wow. Incredible. As you know, as we reach the end of the conversation, Varun, Raghav, this has been absolutely phenomenal. We have people who are watching who've been wanting, who listen to people like you, like Rohit, for this, that one moment which tells them, okay, I will go and do something of my own. They're all actually very hungry for insights and intelligence and courage and inspiration, but also something to push them over the fence and do something of their own. And for me personally, the time spent doing this is worthwhile if one person watching kind of goes and does it. And we see this in the comments a lot. Like 6 months later, like 6 months after we released an episode, someone comes and says, I saw this episode and this was the moment and I have started this business. I now sell pesticides in this particular, whatever they have started, right? And I feel happy. But one piece of advice, motivation, observation, caution, whatever, anything to someone who's just looking for that moment. You go one by one, either way.
So many pearls of wisdom.
See, firstly, if anyone watching this who's young looks at their life, looks at the products, services, companies that they use, they will realize a large number of those companies did not exist 10, 12 years ago. So that's the amount of change that has happened in the last decade, and we are still far from a middle income country. Then it's only a snapshot of what is to come in the next 10 and 20 years.
Correct.
Many, many more consequential companies are going to be built, and that's the opportunity. How to go about it? Firstly, there is no like prescription of how a company gets built, but a couple of maybe learnings from our journey. First, any big idea is only visible in hindsight. So ideas that people are already talking about and are clear are not clearly not big ideas. So you have to go spend time with who you think your end users are and figure out problems that nobody else has seen. Have a point of view that people otherwise don't share. The insights that you will come back with have to be insights that many people disagree with and don't believe in. So you have to have a unique point of view about what to build and not get discouraged by what other people say. Get encouraged by what you've heard from your end potential users. And the second thing I would say is know your capabilities and what your strengths are, but don't get defined by that. Don't build outward from what you are good at. Build backward from what the market and the customer wants. Because part of being a good entrepreneur is building new capabilities. Building what the user wants without getting limited by what you already know and what you already have.
It's a very important point of view. A lot of people kind of think strengths first, but you're right. I think thinking market back. Rohit said this. Pick large markets, independent of whether you are able to build. If you're absorbing and enthusiastic enough, you'll figure out a way. But large markets give you much larger wiggle room and survivor chances.
If we knew that urban company is going to take all of these things to build, and we start thinking about what it will take to actually solve services, we may not have started.
Ignorance is bliss that way. Completely, yeah, I agree. Like the more data crunching you do in terms of evaluation of opportunity, the more reason you will find to not do something. I agree with that fully. I agree with that. Especially on self-doubt and whether we are the right people to do it. Just given.
So don't take a bet on consumer need. That validate.
Yeah.
Take a bet on yourself.
Very interesting. Raghav?
I think as a young entrepreneur, probably don't sit on the pot for too long. Beyond the point, like you can't just keep thinking.
Yeah.
Like 90% of what you end up building is so different from
What you thought?
what you thought before actually going through the journey. And that's a real struggle. I have known like so many friends, so many young entrepreneurs who want to get the model right, perfect it well, but kar nahi rahe. Let's just jump into it. What's the worst that will happen? Your real journey will start once business starts. That journey is real. That stimulus and information is real. This is one. Second is, I think all of us internally have been very centered around value creation. Incentives to why do you want to build a company for every human is a very different answer. And at least in my mind, I like value creation to be centered. How big the company gets is an outcome of that. How rich you get is an outcome of that. How much of financing you raise is an outcome of that.
Yeah.
And usually I've seen people who flip that. बड़ा कंपनी बनाना है इसलिए कंपनी बना रहे हैं, बॉस बनना है इसलिए कंपनी बना रहे हैं. You won't be able to reach that outcome without actually creating something of value. And I've seen that play in quite a lot, even just small decisions in the company making. If you make it for the wrong end output, you probably will not reach there anyways because you've not cracked the inherent juice of it. And what else? I think insight finding is also interesting.
Yeah.
It's actually, so there's a time where I would say I would have believed that go to large markets, build anything in large markets and theek hoega. But in fact our business has taught us a little differently. It is very hard to build. The larger the market, the tougher it gets. If you choose a small market, what's the worst that will happen? You'll create a smaller business.
Yeah.
But if you choose a large market and don't create anything of value, you have no business. So it's more important to like go back to building something which you care about. Having clarity is important in that respect. I think to what Varun was saying, you can hear consumers, but consumers won't give you the answer. You need to selfishly come up with what you want to build, have that clarity. It could be right, wrong, time will tell. So these are few nuggets. We're also learning, so we are no gurus. I think every 3 years.
I think we should do.
And maybe patience.
Yeah, I was going to talk about this. Like you guys have been very patiently building step by step, brick by brick.
Because there are a set of folks, like you said, who are at the edge of whether I should jump in or not. I have also seen, because entrepreneurship has become like a sexy thing. It wasn't 10 years ago. So 10 years ago, nobody was getting in because it's the cool thing. Yeah. Now there are people who are getting in because it's the cool thing, not because they want to be an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Not knowing what
How
the journey
hard it is, yeah.
will entail. So you've got to really, really want to be an entrepreneur and do this more than anything else?
There are more bad days than there are good. In general, at least initially for the first few years, I've realized that the good days are spiky, the bad days are constant, right? So I think you'll fail a lot more. You'll have more self-doubt. Patience is very, very important. Very important. I think people underrate the value of that trait for early stage entrepreneurs.
It's like sports, right? You prepare for 6 months. You may or may not win that one day.
Yeah,
Right? So winning is going to just happen like
once in a while. No.
once in a while. But the journey is what you need to enjoy more.
Sachin's got 100 centuries, we make a whole deal out of it. It took 24 years, man. Like, for those 100 centuries, it took 24 years of the greatest batsman in the history of the game. But Raghav, Varun, this has been an absolute privilege. You guys are building a tremendously amazing organization. I don't think it's unsexy at all. I think you've sexified it totally. I think you've taken a market and just nailed it. I also feel that it's, maybe you guys might disagree, and I was going to ask you this question, but I also feel it's a market where it will be very difficult for someone to build a urban company number 2, like a challenger to what you have built. I think it's like the moats of your business are so powerful and large that you can only go up from here, and it's not good for consumers to have monopolized businesses, but I have a feeling that the 10 years that you have built out, and you build it so foundationally well across technology, supply, demand, and just the productization of everything, you guys are only going to go from strength to strength. As a consumer and a founder who's been lucky enough to see your journey across these last 10 years, kudos to you. You guys are examples of good human beings who do stellar work and win in life, and that's what I've learned from you, and hopefully people watching will learn it as well. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting us, for talking and conversing and tolerating us.
No, this was a privilege. And we missed Abhiraj today, though. I wish we would be here. Next time we will.
Another time.
I think the 2.0 of this will be with him as well. Awesome. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Cool.
We do
Thank
have,
you.
I think, some gifts for you.
Wow, thank you.
Yes. We should give them along with the...
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you for coming.